So, what is this new news about COVID? Now, everybody remembers this infamous time years ago about masks, vaccines being shut down, just deaths, all of this stuff, and just the global impact. Now, recently there has been news of a new variant, the NB 1.8.1, causing surges in China and spreading to the US. Now, of course, there's always been variants, there's always been flu, influenza, and all these things. Nobody's really been affected by it because of the hardened, thick skin we've gotten over the years. But it's interesting because behind the scenes, which I'll talk about here in a second, there's been a lot of battles going on about what's to come in the future. Apparently, this was first identified in China. It's become the dominant strain, leading to a surge in new COVID 19 cases and hospitalizations. And the variant was detected in several countries, including the US, which with cases reported in California, Washington, Virginia, and New York. Now, I'm not saying we should be worried and scared and all these things, because, of course, if you followed me over the years, you know that we have Christ as our authority. He protects, He provides, and all these things. I've never been one to advocate for vaccines. I've never taken it, as you guys know from over the years, as well as just many other things in terms of control that I've talked about. Now, I'm not saying we should be concerned, there's no fear mongering, and I'm not even saying that they're overemphasizing or hyping this up to be something when it really isn't much of anything at this point, with all of our thick skin that we've gone through with regards to how the last few years have played out. But what I do want to say is that there's a lot of legal battles going on behind the scenes. And this is important because there's a lot of lawsuits that may allow the world, in some sense, to dictate specifically with regards to religious exemptions. If you remember back when we were, all deciding whether or not to take it, and as I've said before, I haven't taken it, and I've had religious exemptions granted to me, and especially in the workplace, but also in the schools. Back then, like many governors, Governor Morsi from West Virginia had issued an executive order permitting religious exemptions from mandatory school vaccination. So this directive allowed families to opt out of immunizations required for school attendance by submitting a signed statement citing religious objections. And he justified this action by referencing the 2023 Equal Protection for Religion Act. And so you got to understand that there is a growing interest that is being backed by these, even ACLU, who is on the other side of this lawsuit, where two parents had brought up the potential health risks to their children posed by unvaccinated classmates. So the ACLU is seeking a court order to enforce existing state vaccination laws and prevent the issuance of exemptions that conflict with those statutes. So Morsi, he's defending his directive, emphasizing the protection of religious freedoms and indicating no intention to rescind the order. And so again, there's a growing battle here from the religious sense. There's no faith. There's no people that are concerned with how the practice of religion is encroaching on people's quote unquote freedoms. And this is being challenged as we speak in the court, and especially at the state level, moving towards, the federal probably level at some point, especially when certain diseases or outbreaks, maybe worse than COVID, possibly come up in the future. And this comes at a time when Robert Kennedy Jr. is continuously exposing how the big pharma is controlling media. And so he says here in this particular interview, where all major institutions of society have been captured by the medical industry. The evening news is very attractive to drug companies because young people don't watch the news. It's all older people, as he says. I'm just paraphrasing what he's saying here, and those drugs are their customers, or those people are their customers, the people who are taking this arsenal of drugs, but they also do it to control content. And what I mean by that, or what he means, is that, why do you see defense contractors advertising on Good Morning America? Nobody's buying, this is him saying, Tomahawk missiles. Who's, watching Good Morning America? They advertise because they want to control the content. So when you have a lot of advertising money, then basically you have influence because you're paying the salaries of Anderson Cooper, Lester Holt, Jake Tapper. These guys, their paychecks are being paid by the network for their salaries. And so, again, the pharmaceutical companies, they know that. And Robert Kennedy Jr., who's also, again, taking on a lot of different things in the health space. He's bringing these issues up, and we've already known this, right? A lot of us have already been tracking some of these things, and even to some detailed level. And he also goes on to say that, 20 years ago, they were saying, yeah, there are problems with vaccines or these other drugs, but they will never bring that sort of skepticism up today. And I'm bringing this up because, again, a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, but you've got to understand that in the future, moving into the end times, there's going to be this resurgence. This was just, in some sense, a test run for more severe things. And so, if you don't have your decision making, your convictions in order, when you go to do these things, and I've been saying this over the years, you're not going to know what to do, and you're just going to go with the people, the bandwagon effect. You're just going to go with what other people are saying. So I'm saying this just as a reminder that a lot of things are going on behind the scenes. We need to pray for it. You have to have your decision making down, and that you don't have to be worried, because I believe, although there are things going on and it sounds bad and you have all these things with lawsuits, but all in all, if we keep fighting and we practically show the interests that we have as believers, and we bring our point, especially in the faith realm. I've said before, don't let somebody push you over in the education system, parenting, all these things, but rather let your convictions, let your faith, let your actions speak for themselves. And we have to be able to push for that. Jesus wasn't here saying, oh, you know what, you're right, let's just do all these things that the world is saying, but rather, what is God leading you to do? And so I just want to make this a point really quickly, and just pray. More things are coming. Just my 2 cents in this whole slew of, battles, legal things happening. But love you guys. Be encouraged. Talk to you guys very soon.